My name is Will, and I, like Mulder from the X-Files, want to believe. So I've embarked on a journey of discovery. I've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical worlds. I've thrown myself into weird and wonderful experiences. I've even joined a coven of witches, all in the interest of finding something, anything, that will prove that there's something beyond this physical, three-dimensional world we all live in. This is the Skeptic Metaphysician. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Skeptic Metaphysician. I almost had to do the show without you, Karen. I was really concerned, but thankfully all the universe conspired. We had some technical challenges. It seems like it's kind of a running theme here, right? We have technical challenges, and it allowed us to kind of tap dance a little bit to let Karen join us afterwards. So I'm thrilled because this is a really important one for you to be on, Karen.
I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah. Oh, so I don't know. It's kind of dark in here, but can you tell what color is my aura right now?
I don't even think my glasses would help me with that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, Yasmine, who's our next guest, is a medium on a mission to raise consciousness using her channeled gifts and energy healing through her brand, The Door to Value. She composes messages from the ethereal realms that help her clients evolve their wounds into wisdom so that they feel empowered through their healing and elevate into freedom. That is like poetry to me.
Really?
You know, really, I love it when they send me their bios because it gives you an insight into the person's personality, right?
You said wounds into freedom?
Yeah.
That's so much better than lemon into the
Yeah. I'm totally stealing this
I
now.
love that.
Yep.
So healing sounding.
Now, she knows a lot about a lot of things,
Mhm.
and I'm sure that the conversation is going to go into a lot of different places. I had the privilege of listening to one of her intuitive channeling sessions on Clubhouse a bit ago, which prompted me to immediately invite her to share her expertise with us here and our audience. So I want to welcome to the show, Yasmine. Yasmine, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to connect with you both. And yeah, I mean, this topic of auras, and I can just see both of your auras already. It's glowing, it's healthy, and I'm excited. I'm excited to dive into the conversation today and get really esoteric on, the metaphysician energies that exist in this world. So thank you so much for having me.
We are thrilled to have you. And Mom, you heard it here first. My aura is clean.
You have to make sure to listen to this one.
Yeah, no, I'm going to make sure. Yeah, we're going down here in a few weeks, so I'm going to make sure she listens to it while I'm there.
And I have to say, now I don't read auras, but if you just look, I wish you could see her. Yasmine just is so bright and smiley and happy, and you are just exuding this energy.
Yeah.
Maybe I can see auras.
Yeah.
Very bright.
And that's a good point. For those of you who are only listening to the podcast, you're only seeing half of it or listening to half of it. When you have a chance, you should check out our YouTube channel so that you can see Yasmine, because she does exude this incredible, vibrant energy that you have to see to believe. So, okay, I've got to know. You say that you've already seen our auras, so obviously you can see them through a computer. You don't have to be in front of someone to check out someone's aura.
Exactly. Yep. It's quite a strange thing because I basically just started developing and being open with my clairvoyant, clairaudience, all these sort of sixth sense beyond gifts, if you will. And so that kind of just has been evolving for me. And so recently, probably the past few months of 2021, I started to notice how easy it was for me to pick up a client's aura. I would sit with a client, have a session on Zoom, right? It's not even in person because of, where they live in the world, the state of the world currently. And I can immediately pick up on their energetic barrier. Even while I'm on Clubhouse and I'm just talking to someone, I can get that download immediately. Sort of like a thought. It's really profound. And I can say it out loud, and you have no idea the person that is getting a reading from me responds, wow, I've been seeing this color a lot more. Wow, someone else, another psychic told me this just a few weeks ago. Like, I can't believe you just said that. And it's like, I can see it and I can feel it. And here's what's crazy. We all have the ability to see auras. We all have the ability to channel, but everyone can do it. But it's sort of like you have to be careful with your own energy because it's like almost as if you're staring at someone for 24 hours straight, right? And just staring at them and you're around their sort of presence. Sometimes if you're not sure about who they are or, the type of things that they're carrying from their entire life, you're sort of hanging on to their energy as well. So that's kind of, you might be able to see the aura if you're around someone for that long, but you're also carrying that person's energetic field, meaning all the stuff that they've had throughout their entire life. And so It's really profound. Anyone can access it, but it can be intense if you don't, try to transmute it.
Ah,
Yeah, it sounds like a sponge. You can suck in bad.
okay.
Eesh.
So first, I'm really worried about what you're able to see right now. So keep that in mind. But remind me later, and I'm sure Karen's going to remind me. But Karen, remind me later to tell you my story about auras and seeing auras. I'll tell you about it later once we get to that point. So you keep looking at me like I got like two heads coming out of my shoulders. Everything okay, Karen?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can see your aura.
I'm afraid you're seeing that aura. That's the whole point. Is you seeing something? It went. Never mind. So when someone sees auras, is it colors? Is it feelings? Is it an info dump? We've heard everything. We've seen pictures of people that are meditating, and you have this energy field around them, and they're different colors, and depending on the color, it kind of tells your mood or your thoughts. Like, how does that work?
Yep. And I love this question, Will. Thank you for asking. And I just have to say, before I even explain the kind of auric layer, I have to say both of your auric colors because I'm sure that the audience is probably curious. Like, you said you could see their auras. What color is it?
That was going to be
So,
my next question. So
I'm curious.
and it's so beautiful. Karen, yours is definitely emitting a yellow aura. And right now, we're talking on video and we're also recording this, and it's like I can hear based on your voice, but I can also see your aura in the physical. It's not showing in the camera, but like through it's really strange, like through my third eye, which would be kind of where the pineal gland is, I can see sort of behind that veil. Kind of sounds like super woo-woo, cuckoo type of deal, but
A
it's
little bit.
there. Uh,
no, we're okay with the woo woo.
yeah, right. We're all all of us discover our own eventually at some point, but it's crazy. So you have a very healthy, clean, sort of like vibrant aura. It's yellow. And if you were to connect your aura to an energy center, which is a chakra, because that's, the word that most people know.
Mhm.
Every culture has a word or a definition for those different energy centers. But in this case, I'll use chakras. Yellow is connected to the solar plexus, which is very much above the abdomen, above the navel. It's basically connected to your emotions and your self confidence, who you are as a person. Mind you, it's connected to the gut. So it's also connected to sort of your mental layer. So your auric layer, which is your mental layer, is healthy. And I can feel that. I can kind of feel other things about you as well from that experience of just seeing that.
Oh,
No, yeah.
you're opening up a whole can of worms right now.
I mean, I know we could talk for hours on this. I could do a whole reading on you.
Is the color always the same or do they change? Like, is my aura always yellow?
So it can change. I typically, if I focus on what aura you're carrying based on the thoughts that you've had. So our auric layer, it shifts. We have those sort of standard colors, sort of like a mood ring, if you will. If you're happy, you're going to have that energy connected. The green is going to appear, right? But based on your thoughts, the feelings that you're carrying, just the energy that you're holding, let's say you are doing great. You're having a great day, but you still haven't had that tough conversation with, let's say, an employee or someone in your personal life, like a parent, and you're holding on to that energy, even if you're trying to push it to the back, it's still going to reflect in your auric layer. So to answer your question, yeah, the colors can change, they can switch, and it's not something we need to be scared about at all. It's not something we need to be worried about. It's just an ability for us to recognize, okay, I'm feeling good today. How can I continue to allow this sort of supportive, loving energy around me so I'm not allowing stress to take hold for too long. So it's unique because I'm seeing the yellow and I feel like that's very much connected to your auric health. If you wake up tomorrow, Karen, and you're like, man, I still want to be yellow, you can still be yellow. It's just like the auric layers will continue to shift and change. But right now, your main auric layer that I can see, my guides are actually telling me the catheric template layer. So that means it's connected to your crown chakra. So all the way around, that is what I'm seeing right now, which is very, very good.
It's
So
Very
good. Like, what does that
yeah,
mean?
and
Good. I like the good.
it sounds so weird to say I want to be yellow today, and
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, so do me.
So well, okay. So it's very, very powerful. Right after I saw yours, Karen, being yellow, and by the way, this isn't bad. Having different auric layers doesn't mean anything. It's just reflective of, and I will get into detail, your choices, your thoughts. But Will, I actually see more so blue purple, which is also a good thing, the celestial auric layer. that means that you're very much in tune and connected to the sort of third eye and the crown and the throat chakra. So it's the top three chakras. Our throat chakra, right, which is located in our throat area, and our third eye, which is sort of the space between your eyebrows, that is the purple indigo color. So what I'm seeing for your aura is this basically focus. It's a focus that you have right now to continue an open and expansive spiritual conversation. And that is sort of at the forefront of your auric layer, of your entire energy system. So it's sort of like you're tuned in celestially, that's reflecting in your aura as a primary. Whereas Karen, she's obviously tuned in as well, right? She's here on the show with us, but your auric layer is also, for some reason, it's reflecting other elements of your personality, which is a beautiful thing. And that can depend on how open you are as a person, how you show up in the world. There's so many layers. Life is, never black and white. There's always more than one contribution for the way we are, the way we are. But yeah,
Yeah.
what do you think about that for the both of you guys, those colors?
I mean, color wise, blue is my favorite color, so it works out great. I like the fact that you're saying it's focused on spreading this spiritual message, because that has been a big thing. I'm finding, and I've been told by several different people, that I'm here not really to experience things, but rather just set to help others
Spread, yeah.
to
Spread the
get the message out, right? So I'm not bitter about that, but I am happy to help spread the word for others to experience the stuff.
Should be. I mean, that's the purpose. Spread
I
the
am.
joy,
I'm only,
love, and the.
I'm only teasing.
I know.
I'm actually, I'm honored that I'm able to have a platform that can help spread the message. If it can help one person, then that's great, because I actually get a lot out of it. I think that I like all the toys a little too much. So it's kind of an ego lesson for me to say, you need to find spirit within yourself inwardly, without all the bells and whistles, because that's really where your path lies. And I'm finding that to be actually super inspiring for myself.
That is inspiring. I feel like it's amazing that you get to connect in this way, right? Connect and really discover your purpose. And it's interesting you said helping other people. And I shared this with you before when we were talking on the phone before, doing the call. I know that there is just everyone who's here right now has a purpose, right? And this is what's unique about, as difficult as it is, what's happening in the world, because it's sort of allowing a lot of people to turn inward and kind of connect in a way with their own experience and their journey, that is seeing the benefit of two things: helping others like you will, but also discovering more about their aura, right? Like who they are as a person, what kind of vibe they want to carry in order to manifest and bring about just the utmost best experiences.
So you can see our auras, and we're in a room that's kind of lit up funky, which I think it's incredible that with all even the weird lights, you can still see the colors. Can you see your own aura? Can people see their own auras?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'm actually studying this now, how to properly see my own aura and kind of practice and hone in. It's actually one of the harder things for energy workers to do, is seeing their own aura. For some reason, it's easier to see other people's energy fields. But when you're looking at your own, you have to keep in mind you're sort of carrying your own ego and mind and judgment that is energetically, like it's just energetically there. So it's so hard to, like if I and I've tried to experiment with this before, like if I try to sit down and stare at like my arm and see if there's a kind of connection between the color I'm seeing with my arm, my whole body, right? And I try to practice it, just putting your arm up, I'm seeing like no color at all, which is really hard for me to do now. I'm sure if I sit and kind of meditate on it, I can see an aura. But for some reason, it's just hard for a lot of energy workers to do that. And I think that means that it comes with a lot more self practice and self work. Like it is very easy for me to channel for clients, but I can't really channel for myself at all. I can't pick up anything about my future timeline. It's just not possible.
That seems like it would be frustrating.
Well, yeah, it is. Because you're like, okay, I have the answers for everyone else pretty much, but why don't I have answers for myself? And I think the thing is if we knew too much, then we wouldn't take the active steps to make those changes that we need to heal things that are needing to be healed, right? It's sort of like, if before you were born, they said, hey, you're going to have all this wounding, just so you know, and you remember it when you're born, you're not going to do the work. And so it's sort of the kind of the same way of like discovering what you're holding on to and how that's reflecting into the world. Now, mind you, you can kind of tell when you go into any space about how your aura, your vibe, if you will, affects the environment that you're in or how an environment affects you. And it's sort of like, yourself, right? Even if you can't see your aura right away in the same way you might be able to see your neighbors or your friends or your spouse or whomever, being alone with your own energy and being around other people, you can tell if something is not really matching up with you. It is that gut feeling that comes in and it's like, hey, pay attention. Something doesn't feel right about this experience. Something is not matching with your energy alignment, like with what's going on in your own little sort of bubble, if you will. And that gives us a reality check to kind of sit and like be intentional in that moment about how we can move forward. Like, do I need to change this environment that I'm in? Is there something about my mindset that's creating this stress and anxiety, which is leading to my aura, which sometimes they even say, like, oh, if you're out somewhere and you walk into an aisle and there's a full aisle of people and all of a sudden you see a bunch of people leaving the aisle. There's been a situation for me personally, and I know for some of my clients as well, where they get so paranoid, like, why didn't all the people just leave this aisle as soon as I walked into this aisle, right? Like, what is there something about me? Like, do I smell? sometimes sometimes they can be connected to your aura and your vibe. It's not something to blame yourself for. It's just, it could be a good vibe that you carry, that is just a lot of high energy resonance, that it's moving other people away because they're not energetically matching with you in that exact moment of time. Or it could be, it could be just something with your energy of being a little bit more down that day. And so it gives us a chance to sort of check in with ourselves, I feel,
Right.
And not in an obsessive way. Just, am I good today? How am I feeling?
And to your point, I think if I see the gas man running away from my house, I'm running too.
Dun.
So sorry, I could not. It just reminds me of the story, the joke. Right?
And if you're gassy, I'm running.
Right. Well, so then let's get back to that. Makes a lot of sense. Your aura, everyone goes into a room sometimes and go, oh my God, the feeling in here is like it's not a good feeling. I need to get out of here. Or the opposite, like, wow, I feel like I'm at home. And so that's coming from the people in the room, the aura in the room, or can there be a residual from someone who was in there before their aura stays behind?
Well, both, but your aura doesn't technically stay behind. It's not like a lost soul. Like, energetically, our energy can be left as an imprint in different places, for example, but it's never, because energy is always moving, right? So it's never in one place. And we learned this, in middle school too, with physics and chemistry, how energy is always moving. It's always flowing. The atoms, the molecules, they're always at a state of just movement. So our energy can be left in a place, that imprint, if you will, is made, but at the same time, it's sort of transferring out. So it'll sort of stay, if you will, imagine like a cloud in the room, but then it dissipates. And that just goes with the natural selection of energy and how that energy moves. But, let's say you're walking into a place and you're feeling that energy and you're like, I feel something different about this experience that I'm in, this conference room, let's say, right? Or if you're walking into a meeting and you're like, I think everyone's doing well today because I'm feeling really good about where I'm at. That sort of is you picking up on where all of these people are at energetically. Our auras stay with us. We have 7 or 8 layers. Some people actually claim that there's 11, but I like to say that there's a layer per chakra. So we have an auric layer per chakra.
So then when you say that Karen's aura was yellow and mine was blue purple, all the layers are the same color?
Nope. They can change colors and they can change based on where you're at in terms of your healing. So the yellow that I saw for Karen, Karen, it could be kind of connected to, oh, you saw yellow color. Does that mean that there's something connected to my solar plexus chakra, that energy center that's in your abdomen? Because that energy center, that chakra, is known to have a yellow hue, but that's actually not always the case. Even though the chakras are known to have an association with the color, a particular color, it doesn't mean that that auric layer will match that color. And so when I said that earlier, I felt like a yellow hue. And it's funny because my spirit guides are actually around me right now. I can feel them and I'm sort of channeling at the same time while talking to you guys, going back and forth here. But the yellow that I'm feeling, that I felt and that I'm feeling from you, Karen, it's connected to the Catheric template, which is the outermost layer connected to our crown chakra, which is the tallest chakra. It's at the crown of our head. And that's said to be sort of a golden hue by nature. But I'm seeing yellow for some reason. And I do feel like that's very much connected to clarity, like the vibrancy of your energetic field, like laughter, not really holding on to any residual stagnant energy. Like if someone cut you off on the road today, like you would get pissed for a second and then you would let it go type of energy. Like you're not holding on to something residual. It feels very clean and clear. That's kind of the way that I'm receiving it. Yeah.
I like about the laughter, because if anyone's heard Karen laugh, you have heard Karen laugh. She did not hold back, and I love that about her. So then, I mean, I've got so many questions, and we can go in so many different directions. Karen, I don't want to take over the show. So is there anything that you want to know specifically?
No, I was just kind of thinking back to what we were talking about on, if it's easy for you to read your own aura. And this is more like a I don't know, opinion or uneducated guess. But I think, maybe could it be that on the spiritual realm, it's better for someone not to be able to have this self-knowledge so that they will focus more on helping other people and not just focus on themselves. Because I think people would be very selfish if they were, totally selfish.
Love that. No, don't feel selfish at all, Will. And Karen, that's a phenomenal question. I think that a lot of people in the community talk about this a lot. Now, I won't claim to know and be the end all be all of historic knowledge. I'm in the process right now of applying to an intuitive medicine school in California because I want to expand on this practice. But I know that a lot of folks who are connected with me with kind of this conversation about auras and the energy world, they have similar perspectives, but also expansive perspectives based on what they've experienced and the work that they've done. So yes, I won't claim to be the end all be all, but what I will say is, and my guides have been giving me this message, this journey that we're on is a two-way streak of sort of serving the world, helping others, an equal give and take, but also helping ourselves in the sense that we all returned to the planet. I won't claim to say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but we all essentially chose to come back to experience not only helping other people, but to also heal ourselves. We're all serving as the black sheep of our family tree. I've been saying this all over Instagram. We're the liberators of our family tree. So it is a personal journey, but as you start to work on your self-love, that's the easiest thing I can compare it to, your own self-love and self-worth. How do I want to show up in the workplace? How do I want to be paid? How do I want to be loved in my relationships? How do I want to live my life, et cetera, et cetera? You see a shift with other people in your network because then they naturally say, I'm noticing something about you. You're kind of glowing. What is your secret? I like your vibe. I want to know more. And then they start to take on those things and shift. It becomes like a domino effect pretty much. So it's kind of fun when you realize this because you're like, all I have to do is be myself and make sure I'm good on all fronts. And naturally, the right people will be brought into my life. And I'm going to know when it's my time to serve and show up and help someone because it's going to be in front of my face. And that's because of the work that I did on myself as well.
There's a couple of questions I have. One is, you mentioned earlier on that everyone can see auras. How does someone get to that point?
Everyone has the ability, first and foremost, to channel intuitively. Like we can all receive messages from the divine. I actually say, or from the ethers, or however you want to label it. But I actually say that if you have a focus of working on yourself, so much so that you're committed to your own self journey of personal growth, let's say, for example, then what happens is that transpiring of you starting to receive intuitive messages, downloads, if you will, from the universe. So it sort of becomes like what we all say in the modern Western world. I have a gut feeling that this is working, is going to work. That's kind of what that connection is. Our spiritual body and our physical body are always working in harmony to not only enjoy and experience the physical world, but to also receive messages from the ethers at the same time. It's sort of that mutualistic effect of our creation. So you can channel, and as you start to channel, as you practice and like essentially open your third eye, you end up starting to notice people's auras. And you don't necessarily need to be a clairvoyant or a psychic or what have you to be able to tap in. Some people I know have no clairvoyance gifts, and randomly one day they started seeing auras. Actually, a friend of mine in my social circle, she said, I literally see people's auras when I'm out And it's the strangest thing because I have no connection to, the veil. I'm not a psychic. What's that about? And so it's interesting, right? But it's like as soon as we open up ourselves a little bit more and are willing to connect, all we have to do is just set the intention. I want to connect with the ethers. And then all of a sudden, you start to see these signs, these synchronicities, these events in your 3D experience that are so completely catered and tiered to you and your soul because of how unique you are that another person might not recognize the sign in the same way as you, that the divine then brings in this awareness in front of you and you say, okay, this is interesting. Now I need to take the next step. And as soon as you take that next step, it just gets stronger and stronger. And that is truly how I feel you can expand your ability to tap into these gifts. I mean, anyone can have it, I feel. Not a lot of people are willing to do the work to get it though. I will say that.
Because so many people think it's something you have to be born with, but I like that you're saying it's something that you can work
You
towards.
can develop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting because both of my parents, they have sort of mediumship gifts. My dad can see spirits, that's all he has, and my mom actually can sort of have vision. So she'll have dreams. She's had a series of dreams that she's told me about before I even knew I was moving to Chicago, before I even knew what was going to happen, and she shared that with me a few years ago. And they've all come true with me forgetting about it and her reminding me about it, when she came to visit a few months ago. So it's pretty intense. I personally did not develop a strong connection to the spirit realm until this year. Like it has been ongoing for me since 2018, but this year is when I sort of said, okay, I want to channel, let me try it. And what I started doing was going on Clubhouse, with these different clubs, offered my gifts, said I would like to channel and see what comes through. And surprisingly, I just found by the virtue of praying, meditating, right, just before setting that good energy intention, it's just setting that good intention into your auric field so that you don't allow any disturbances from all the other energies that exist and with perhaps anyone that joins your space. And all of a sudden, you get these downloads. They're like thoughts to me. I don't really have to think about it too hard. It just comes in and I'm like, okay, let me share this, let me explain it in this way. What's the message? How's it going to resonate with this person? So, for me not to be born with it, I think that's something that's a tall tale of what human beings are capable of in this point in time.
So we keep talking about seeing auras, and we also talk about the fact that it comes from, your third eye chakra, your pineal gland. Is it really, are you using your eyes to see it, or is it more of an intuitive look? Like I'm looking at it, is it like, remember those magic eye puzzles where you stare at something and your eyes just kind of go wobbly and all of a sudden the picture emerges?
3D.
Yeah, 3D picture. Is it like that?
It's so funny you said that. They still have those things that exist where it's like you see the picture and all of a sudden the color changes type of thing. Yep. Kind of yes and no. I honestly don't have to think about it at this point. It just comes naturally, but it's not an everyday thing. So, after this call, for example, I have another call with the client. And then after that, I'm going to go to the gym. Let's say once I go to the gym, I'm around all these people that are working out with me. I'm not going to see all of their auric layers for several reasons. The first could be if you don't want to intentionally connect to someone's energetic field, you don't have to see it. You can just ignore it. A lot of mediums say it's not possible for them to turn that off, that they're sometimes taking a shower and all of a sudden they can see something that wasn't there before. I personally believe that you can turn it off. So I don't really see people's auras right away, but for situations like the both of you, as soon as you mentioned that, I just naturally allowed that channel to open. It was just a thought. Okay, I set an intention, right? I want to see what comes up. And I just downloaded it as a thought immediately. And as I'm looking at Karen, I'm seeing that yellow auric field around her and I'm seeing the yellow hue, sort of like someone took a paint and just painted over with that color. So it comes very, very clear. And yeah, so it depends, where you're at in your intuitive journey.
Okay, here's where my story is going to come in that I told you about before, that I had a story about auras, because it's something that's freaking me out a little bit right now, and I'll explain it in a second. So before I get there, quick question: can someone manipulate their aura?
In the sense that you're manipulating it, you're going to hurt yourself pretty much if it's a manipulation that's ill-intentioned.
Like, can someone expand it or contract it or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely you can.
All right, then here's my story. long time ago when I was living in Miami and I was first starting to look into all these different modalities and things like that. I studied under a man who was of Middle Eastern descent, his name was Larry.
That sounds very Middle Eastern.
Right
I'm Middle
smack
Eastern.
dab in the middle of the Middle Eastern, right, Middle East. But he was a disciple of Sai Baba. He had studied a lot, and I wanted to learn about all this stuff, so I started doing meditations with him, and he did some Reiki stuff with me and all that kind of stuff. And he would regularly tell me, "Oh, your aura is really off today to color whatever brown or whatever it was," and it wasn't, what's going on, what's happening. And sure enough, oh my God, Larry, how'd you know that kind of thing, right? Because he sees my aura. But then one time we were sitting here, we were across from each other, and there was incense burning, and we're having just a conversation. And I said, I'm not sure, but I think I'm seeing your aura. Is it like an energy field around you that kind of takes the shape of like your head and your shoulders kind of thing? And he says, oh, okay. Well, what color is it? Well, I don't know. I don't really see a color, but I see kind of a silhouette around you kind of thing. He goes, and he said, okay, let's do this. What's it doing now? And he closed his eyes. And as soon as he did that, I saw his aura or whatever it is shoot up from the top of his head, just shoot straight up. And I went, whoa. And he goes, oh, you are seeing it, right? Because then he confirmed what I had seen. Remember, this is the skeptic metaphysician, right? I am not 100% convinced that's what it was. And honestly, I had forgotten about that up until right this moment, because, Yasmine, I'm looking at you in the camera and I am seeing the same kind of outline around you right now. And it's a color like a dark green. Does that make sense to you at all?
Yeah, it definitely does. And what's crazy is my entire apartment is decked out in dark green, light green. I mean, it's all like, if I could show you the camera, like everything I have around me besides my couch is green. So that's very accurate. I've been having heart palpitations all day. Weird for a 26-year-old, but that has been a significance of the heart chakra, which is the color green. So that's no surprise that you said that to me there.
Ooh, I am
Look at you.
getting goosebumps.
That's awesome.
Okay, so maybe I do have some tools after all. That's pretty cool. So again, I don't know if I'm really, I mean, it could just be wishful thinking, but to me, it is kind of like that third, like that, which is why I asked the question, that magic eye puzzle, because I'm like, if I look at you, I'm not really seeing it, but if I look at you and I relax my gaze a little bit, that's when I start seeing it. And right now you've got it pretty closed in around you right now. So that's why I asked if you could contract it or expand it, because I feel at first it was pretty regular, like average, but then now I'm seeing it kind of contracting. So I don't know if maybe you're uncomfortable in reading, or I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
I actually pulled it in, and what you asked earlier about manipulating that energy, it's real. You can do that. You can do that in the way of and it's so funny that you said that the person that you were speaking to, he was able to bring that energy through his crown all the way up. I try to actively do the same thing when I go to the gym, because there's so much, kind of energy around. There's a lot of people. I like to sort of stay in my own bubble, which doesn't always work in my favor because then strangers start coming up to me. But I try to do that same thing that he did, imagining, manipulating that energy and visualizing, which is a huge component to you being able to basically have that frequency shift in your favor. So basically, I visualize that aura to go all the way up. And I don't know why I did like that, but you guys know what I mean. And it goes like, but basically for it to go all the way up to the ethers, and I imagine it, and it totally works. So with you saying that aura expand, like basically going in a little bit more, it's like I'm trying to harness it by putting it not in a box, but more closely tied to my own frequency.
Huh.
And visualization is the key here. It really does make a difference.
Wow.
So can you see mine?
Now I don't know if it's because of the blue behind you, but I don't. Sorry.
I sucked it in. I just need to read my aura.
It's okay, Karen. I still see your aura. It's so vibrant. It's just like yours is kind of like this, like little squiggles around. So it's around you, but it's sort of, I love that. It's very healthy.
Yeah. So then why would it be that I could see yours, but not Karen's? Why would that be?
That could be for a number of reasons. Maybe just the need for you to focus more in on Karen's aura, like really, really focusing. So sometimes if we are around people that we're very close to, our colleagues or our friends or our family, we can pick up their aura, but we might not. And usually at those times, it could be because we're not allowing that barrier to go down all the way. It's sort of like a little bit more energetic work to be able to sit with someone that you know a little bit more and actually identify what that auric field is. But Karen's is really yellow. I mean, I don't always use auric healing in my readings. It comes and goes as it needs to. I'll see it when it for a person when I need to see it, but for yours, it's just something that's very, very prominent. Like it can feel it in my third eye almost, right? So it's just quite beautiful. Not to say, well, that I can't see yours, but just Karen's, it's really like, at the forefront of what I'm feeling intuitively.
Believe me, I'm the first one to say that Karen is much more beautiful than me, for sure. So don't worry about it.
Oh, echoing that.
All right. So you had also mentioned that not only can you see colors in the auric field itself, but you actually get information from that. That you just mentioned that when you don't use auric healing all the time, it's just when you need to see it, you'll see it. And you also mentioned the fact that Karen's you saw right away. So does that mean that Karen needs some sort of a healing?
Well, no, because so first of all, if I were to channel for Karen now, which I can kind of sit and pick up things if you guys want me to experiment with that. But just with the get-go with you, Karen, it just is so vibrant for me in the forefront. Almost, if I had to describe it, it's like Will's aura is behind it, a little bit of a veil, but I can still feel and see it. Yours is in front. And to me, that doesn't necessarily mean, anything bad or good. It doesn't mean that you need healing. It just means that that's the frequency that you're carrying. And as I mentioned earlier, the yellow that I'm feeling from you is very healthy. It's very clean, and just because someone's aura is clean doesn't mean that they don't have any trauma or wounds or anything that they're thinking about that is stressing them out. It just means that that's the primary focus of your auric field of what you're carrying energetically is more of a sense of like flow, laughter, joy, just prioritizing sort of a fun, upbeat, playful energy rather than really focusing on something that's a little bit more dense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can different people see different colors in the same person?
Possibly. I've seen that work in one of our Everything is Energy club on Clubhouse. I've seen that work with that club where one of us will read for a guest and another healer will read for the same guest, excuse me. And then we kind of pick up the same messages. So it is possible. I think that someone's auric field, depending on how strong it is, will reflect a little bit more vibrantly for the different healers. So let's say you have a group of three, mediums who can visually see someone's auric field. There's a very high likelihood that all three healers, mediums can see that particular person's aura, but it depends. And that's kind of goes back to my point of there's 8 billion people on the planet. And that means 8 billion people are experiencing their own personal truths, perspectives of their reality. So it's very likely that what I can pick up might be different than what the next person can pick up. And a lot of that also has to do with what your higher self, Karen, for example, that's aspect of your soul that is supporting and living with the angels, if you will, what they're allowing me to access. Some mediums might give you very, very specific details about your energy, what needs healing, past life, anything like that. And while as the next healer or medium might not be able to. And that has a lot to do with basically what your higher self is allowing to come in, what the divine is allowing to come in. So, but I have no, disagreements in that. I think if another intuitive was on this call right now, they'd probably be able to pick up the same thing. Cause it's really like, it's, for lack of a better word, it's in my face. It's like so beautiful, right?
Yeah, that sounds right with Karen.
I've actually never had that experience before with seeing yellow for someone's aura. So that's definitely a first for me.
Cool. So in reference to your point about whether we want you to channel, whatever comes through, we are an open book. So if something comes out and said, Karen, oh my God, I got to tell you, stop doing this, right? Whatever it is that comes through, please feel free because we do edit this. And if it becomes too personal, okay, now that we're back after that edit.
Oh yeah. Okay, you guys are so right. Well, I've got to say this because I just feel inclined to, Karen, it's just coming through really clear for me. When I first initially saw the yellow cue around your energetic field, your catheric template layer, I, for some reason, got this very strong message about a bunny rabbit. like a rabbit, and I've been seeing that. It's very heavy. Now, normally rabbits are representative of fertility, new, whether it's a pregnancy or new beginnings. Fertility in life is often a symbol of new beginnings, new chapters. But I see just a bunny. So maybe look up the symbol or the meaning, spiritual meaning of bunny rabbits if you don't have a personal connection to them, and see what resonates with you. But I'm seeing that really, really prominent. Like I'm literally seeing a white bunny hopping. So probably also a symbol of curiosity in the world and exploration, but I do feel like it's more so a symbol of birthing something new.
Okay. Wow. I'm gonna have to look
Yeah.
at that.
Hmm.
That's very,
Yeah.
my curiosity is like going in. I'm like,
So then,
So you have to message me and let me know what you hear from them.
yeah.
so,
you.
so then what do also yellow, and you saw yellow in Karen, you saw blue, purple in me. What are there any colors that are not good to see?
All right. Well, I don't know if you need me to read you now, but I'd be glad. So I'll share this. Auras are not as I mentioned earlier, black and white, as we may think that life is. And so our auras can have indications of healing when we see sort of like a gray, musted, kind of dirty type of auric color. I don't think dirty is not even the right word. Maybe sort of like a brown, a black, a gray, those muted, darker colors are sort of connected to the aura if we are carrying a lower vibrational energy. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, as I said. It's an indication for us to recognize, gain a level of self awareness of something's not right. At any point in time, any single human being can have a clouded, darker colored aura. And a lot of times those auras don't only just come with that shade, it's more so the holes. You see gaps in that person's energy field. It's like a visible hole, and you can kind of tell when they need to transmute something. So yeah, it's kind of goes along with, let's say, for example, and I feel this more so because of where I'm at in my journey, but again, take what resonates. But a lot of times if you're in a place energetically where you're just so sad, you're upset about something that's happening in your personal life, and you just don't know what to do with it, but it's happening and you're just kind of carrying that energy. It's so important to feel your emotions and not suppress them, because essentially if you suppress them, you're bypassing your truth, and life will bring something in front of you so much harder for you to recognize it. But here's what you can do with knowing that information, knowing that you're not feeling good, is going about your day. If you have to continue to run errands or go to work or go to school or what have you, taking that knowledge that you have about where you're at emotionally and energetically and keeping it in mind. Because when we carry that frequency about our day, again, not to put it behind, but we have to be so aware of how we take it to other places. And forget about worrying about too much about, oh, how will my issues affect other people energetically? Don't think about that. It's more so, how will my energetic field that is not in the most optimal state today get impacted by the external world? I don't want to have any other energies feel influenced to come near me. And this is not a fear based thing at all, not to say that you need to be worried. It's sort of like an afterthought. Think of it like an afterthought. Just go about your day, but be mindful about how the way you feel can affect what can access your energetic field more. And that kind of shows when you come across people on the road, cut you off, and then someone annoys you on the phone, or something happens with, your phone company, just all these random things. And it's like, this is a reflection of not only my energy, my thoughts, and what I'm carrying. It's a reflection of also what I've allowed myself to take on too much into the physical world. I got to heal something. I got to take care of myself, give myself love. And then hopefully that starts to transmute some things.
Right. So you started that whole thing by, will you need me to read you now? Are you trying to tell me something? Because
Yeah.
it really felt like you were talking to me.
Well, I know obviously Karen's energy is very, very prominent because it's so good that I'm feeling that. Well, I think for you, it's just very much connected to a one-track mind. And that could also be because you have a very prominent masculine energy. But when I say one-track mind, I mean, it's sort of like a straight shoot all the way from where you are in the physical right now as a human being to the divine. And I'm just seeing, sort of like the story you shared earlier, a blue, purple, indigo. It's more of an indigo hue that's just connecting all the way up to the divine, which means, and my left, okay, now both of my ears are ringing right now, actually, as I say that, which usually when that happens on a non-physical way, let's just say spiritual way, that means that the divine is starting to affirm what you're saying. So that could be an affirmation for you. It just means you're focused, you're tuned in. I also intuitively in my third eye see a gear connected to that as well. Like, those sort of like the gears from a settings, or you know what I'm talking about? Like the
Mhm.
internet browser settings. I'm seeing that, and that's telling me again that you're very, very focused right now on the job, on what you're doing. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually very healthy because it means that you're living in the present as much as possible. You're not really carrying the monkey mind too far for yourself.
Great.
So I'm gonna put my 2 cents in with that. No.
Yeah.
So Will can get very focused, but he'll get like almost very single-minded. And can that ever be
Bad thing?
a bad thing?
Mhm.
Because sometimes I think it prevents him from being able to experience other things because he gets really fixated on what he's focusing on.
Yeah, it depends on the nature of what it is. I think single-mindedness, I guess you could say it's okay to focus and be present, but sometimes if you're holding on to something like a particular ideology for too long, you're too attached. And what happens is you're going to meet people naturally that are going to come in your environment to shake up that single-mindedness, that attachment. I don't know if I connected that 100% totally okay, but that's kind of just what I'm feeling from single-mindedness. It's sort of like it's okay to have a one-track mind if it's something that's allowing you to be in the present moment and focus on what needs to get done, let's say. The masculine energy in general, and these are just energies, it's not saying, anything left or right or anything like that, but the masculine energy in general is very much an operating mode with action, with taking steps, with giving. So, sort of having that single mindedness is sort of like a go, go, go mentality. Like another easy example is in a relationship. I posted a video about this on my Instagram a few months ago, but basically, a couple, a male and a female in a relationship, let's say, or if you have someone who's predominantly feminine energy and someone who's predominantly masculine, if they get into an argument, the masculine energy, the person who holds that primary energy in the relationship, they're going to just want to get to the point 99% of the time, if not 90% of the time. They want to just get straight to the point. Whereas the feminine energy wants to circle around and have her point heard. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just about that's how the feminine energy operates beyond logic and reason, and more so about love, like really, really getting deep in the intricacies and the details. So that can be a good thing, right? And so the masculine energy in this case, Will, you having that aura, it's not really a bad thing. It's just not reminding yourself not to get too attached to one particular thing so that you can allow for more expansive, opportunities to come in.
I could literally sit here and talk to you all night long about stuff.
Likewise.
I mean, truly.
We need to do this again.
I would love to talk to you about it again.
Well, I mean, we'd love to truly would love to have you again, because I thought we were going to go all over the place. We kept ourselves pretty well to the aura thing, which is good because there's a lot to talk about, but it's also bad because you have so much else that you can share, so much expertise you can share with the world, that makes me sad that we didn't get a chance to talk about it. But we are getting close to time, and I know that you've got to go. So if someone wanted to reach out to you, to connect with you for a reading, or did they just want to follow you because they love your energy, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, and I appreciate you both so much. Thank you for this time. I would just say if you'd like to connect with me, if our conversation with us three, served you in any way or resonated with you, just find me on Instagram at door the number 2 value. And I do have a link in my bio that has, reading service options available for you. And another great way is through Clubhouse, right? I mean, this social audio is growing in all these different directions. And I think that that is sort of the next leading future for a lot of folks, especially podcasters, right? So hopping on a social audio app like Clubhouse and connecting with me, you can search me with the same handle. So again, that's at door the number 2 value.
Great. And I'm going to go ahead and put all those links on our show notes. So if you're looking for a way to connect to Yasmine, you can just go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to the episode where she's at, and all of those links will be there. It's just a click away. So Yasmine, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been a wonderful time spent. And truly, I hope you'll consider coming back.
Oh, I would absolutely love to. You both are phenomenal hosts. and so great at leading and guiding a conversation. I mean, I could talk to you both for hours. It's really nice, to have this kind of a deeper conversation. So I appreciate you
Yeah.
both.
Absolutely. And thank Karen for coming, fighting through all the gremlins and making your way to the show. Really appreciate having you here at all times, because you asked some great questions that I would not have thought of. So glad to hear. And listener, thank you for coming along on this journey of discovery with us. Now, we'd love to continue our conversation with you on Facebook and Instagram. So please feel free to find us there under @Skeptic Metaphysician or at skepticmetaphysician.com, where you can find the direct links not only to our social media platforms and those of our guests, but where you can subscribe to the show or leave us a review or a voicemail directly there on the site. As always, if you know someone that would benefit from hearing the messages we've shared on this show or any of our others, I hope you'll consider sharing us with that person. It'll help grow the show and may just help someone else come to terms with the fact that we are so much more than just this three-dimensional body that we inhabit. Now, you miss any of our show today, you're listening to this on the radio, not to worry. All of our shows, including this one, can be found on our site, skepticmetaphysician.com, where you can become a member of a community for free and enjoy the added benefits of discounts from services from some of our past guests, as well as a chance to connect with us directly. You can even leave us a voicemail that we might just read on the air in a future episode. We'd love to know what you like or don't like about the show. We want to keep improving and making the content better, so all the feedback, positive and not so positive, are completely welcome. We just would simply love to hear from you, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we have. Sadly, that's all we have for now. I want to thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysician. Until then, take care.